Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, Free Enterprise fans, to this, our Monday night community race. I am Ent, and tonight we will be having our premiere on stream of our upcoming Season 3 ladder flags, the FuSoYa and Wario Land flags. Joining us tonight on the restream team are FF4FE doing the actual restreaming part, Lamia Harp doing her first time on tracking, very excited for that. And joining me in the booth tonight is HeartGamer26. Heart, how are you doing tonight?
Good, doing pretty good. Hope you're doing well as well, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know much about this flag set. I just know it's Fu and Wario combined together, and we're gonna be dealing with a lot of Fu.
Yep,
Today.
100% guaranteed Fu. And also, very interestingly, if you've watched a lot of Free Enterprise, usually we have that FuSoYa challenge flag on, which means that you gain those 3 spells, that 100 health after every boss. Yeah, we have vanilla FuSoYa in these flags, so he gets to start out as a fully made powerhouse. So this early game might go by a bit quickly.
Sounds like it. That early Fu with all his spells, things are gonna be blowing up fairly quickly. How many characters can you get and just go? That's pretty much what's gonna happen.
Absolutely. And another interesting wrinkle in this, for those who've watched a lot of Free Enterprise too, is you may be used to the K main flag along with K summon and K moon. Well, this time you only get that K main flag, but you also get K trap, meaning that all of those key items will either be in one of those quest locations or will end up being in one of the trap chests. So it is the true treasure hunt. That's where the Wario Land part of the flags come in. And so if you enjoy the great fun of seeing trap chests open and waiting for that really, really good moment of, ooh, that's exciting coming out of that chest, then this is definitely the flag set for you.
Oh yeah. And that means they're gonna have to go all over too. I mean, underground, overworld, even potentially there could be potential go mode on the giant as well. Now,
Yes.
I don't know if I saw, but is it vanilla traps or are the traps scattered randomly? Because if they're randomly, that makes it even better.
I believe they are scattered randomly. I might be incorrect on that, so don't quote me on it, but I do believe they are completely random, so that's going to add a little bit to the chaos. We are starting to get underway here, but I am fully prepared to see some shenanigans here. You know, do you start Castle Eblin for those trap chests right away? Do you go through the easy overworld locations? And what do you do with this Kane and is that a Mirasame that we started with?
Yep,
Or
got a Mura, so that's fun. If you can get an edge, that's gonna be a nice weapon.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Fu will carry you through basically everything on the overworld, but you still want that good backup to get you through the later fights as well, because you're not going to want to rely solely on spells the entire seed, especially with Fu's MP pool.
That's true. And certain locations too do hamper spells with certain bosses too. I know certain locations Val is at, spells are not gonna do a thing to her, so getting a little bit of heavy hitters might help, definitely.
Yep, 100%. And it's also going to be interesting on the routing perspective of when do you go to the moon with these flags? Because you're not getting anything out of those moon bosses, but you are getting stuff out of those moon trap chests. And because you're going to have the pass, it kind of, in some ways, to me at least, incentivizes going to that moon early and getting that done so that you can come back and just never go back to the moon after that.
True, and 3 of our racers have decided to head into Baron. Just check out the character. We got a Rosa hidden behind Odin. Well, one of our racers, Tybalt, decided he wants to go hit Eblin first. So it'll be interesting if he's looking for some gear or if he's looking for those chests. And looks like Dulls are followed behind Odin, so not too bad. Kind of a nice, easy start at Baron Inn, so that's a easy Rosa, pretty much.
Absolutely, it's definitely going to be good getting that Rosa early. Ooh, a Magma Key.
Especially
So
a
yeah,
Magma
doubly
Key,
good.
yep. Yep. Oh, you definitely want to go do Baron Inn as soon as you can. Get that underground access that opened up more trap chest as well. But that means way underground is not gated by a trap chest, which unfortunately is not fun, but darkness still may be gated.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as I like Tybalt's early plan of let's go and check Eblin Cave, which I have to think is sort of informed by things like, all right, if I find an Earth Crystal, then maybe going to Zot early is a good idea. Trap chests there, plus the other stuff, plus treasury even. And, you know, it could have paid off. But in this case, now that we've seen that magma key, it's sort of like, well, this might not be the best direction at first, just for this seed.
Now, it would be really mean if he ends up getting hooked. Because would he I think he might go at least do some of the trap chest on hook, which still pulls him away from Baron in, unless he decides to hit that first. And so far it looks like 2 for 2 without any key items. So far it's getting a bit zonked on that. And then looks like we got a Cecil at Hobbs, so that's not too bad. With a Lunar Sparkle, I didn't see the boss on that.
Yeah, it's kind of gone too quickly for it to matter. Oh, it's just Plague.
Plague's easy. It's one of the easier one of the easier moon bosses to deal with. I mean, try to Zerk or blow him up like with Nuke, that works. But if you can't, either try to Zerk your party. If not, hold A. I've learned that one. Holding A has saved my butt against Plague many, many, many times.
Definitely, and it's almost a waste to see it here on Mount Hobbs, too. You know, you kind of want to get those difficult Lunar Sparkle bosses out of the way up here. Like, you know, you get that Wyvern out of the way, it probably will still do a good amount here. Might still catch you off guard, but at least it's not in a spot where it's going to be harder to deal with.
And it looked like, too, there was at least a Defense Sword and Avenger found, so Kane's going to be pretty useful with those two combinations, or at least letting him just hit things. So... And was that a crystal sword?
I think so. I mean, it does seem like Castle Eblin's paying off.
I guess so, just not with key items. That's okay.
You know, if Tybalt ends up being the only one to go to Castle Eblin, and then swings up to Mount Hobbs, which I believe was that Cecil, then he's going to be in a very, very good position if he wants to just swing up Mount Ordeals. He's basically got this seed. I don't want to say won already, but about as close as you can get 5 minutes in.
Or you could be a little bit cheeky and sell it if you really feel like it, but I doubt it, especially with getting a Cecil early. And, ooh, Gauntlet on Ordeals. That's fun. At least it's not back attack Gauntlet, but still.
Yeah, it's not the best thing here, but another benefit, I guess, of this flag set is it does make that alt gauntlet a lot less worrying in these early spots, because you have that Fu, he has Quake. It's just really just an annoyance more than a potential problem.
It's just, a little mini grind, not much experience, but at least it's something. And looks like Tybalt is going to get a Cecil, so yeah, he's going to be happy on getting that Crystal Sword, but looks like the other racers, Harumph and Rex, are following behind Twisted Flax on the Mount Ordeals. So we'll be seeing that. Almost everyone's going to be dealing with that gauntlet.
Yeah, definitely, especially with that Cecil, everyone's going to want to get him powered up, and now that we know that there's an Avenger out there, there's a Defense Sword with a Cane, there's a Crystal Sword with a Cecil, this is looking like an extremely good party. Like, if you're trying to make a party that's what's the best party I can have in the game, you're pretty much starting to really make headway there with this party already.
That is so true. And once you get that Rosa as well, you have your White Mage, so Fu can concentrate on doing his main black magic spells. So, guess that 5th spot might just be, another heavy hitter, because I don't know, is Dupes on?
I believe dupes are on, and another thing too is because these are on the beta flags, if they wanted to, with that Rosa, Heroine Robe, I believe, has been lowered a tier in this flag set, so it makes it more likely that they could find one of those somewhere, and if they wanted, and they think that Fu might be able to take care of their White Mage status later in the game, then they could actually build a good damage Rosa here as long as they find a weapon for her.
That is very, very true indeed. And it looks like we have some even more divergence. Let's go and check our Antlion and find a little fun little turtle that did not stay around long, and I'm gonna see that key item, and it looks like D-Lunars is the back attack, so another sparkle that can or cannot be difficult depending. I mean, as long as you don't hit them, eventually you could just turn them into toads by backfiring their breath, or you can Quake It. Quake It works as well.
Or you can get a darkness crystal in Antlion Cave.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
You know,
everything's opened up pretty much, at least combined on streams, so oh boy.
I was told that there were two types of Osca seeds, either the like long twisted pretzel seed or the instant go mode anxiety seed, and this is definitely looking like the instant go mode style today.
And Tybalt's gonna probably get his underground access soon, so yeah, he's gonna have the full world open up. And what is the key? I missed the key item that Twisted Flax ended up getting, if that was a key item or not.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit hard to keep track of this.
I know, there's so many. And Bahamut there is not a bad, just smack or do a spell. Not very hard to take care of.
I think the real question on my mind is with Tybalt finding that darkness crystal, and if our other runners find that darkness crystal, does someone take that early moon dive and decide, you know what, this is a party that can deal with behemoths, I'll get a pretty good amount of XP for it, and I can get quite a bit out of it just by doing that. Possibly find any buried key items that might give me an advantage, because this is definitely turning into, with early magma key and early darkness crystal, a seed where you want to take some risks or you're just going to end up mired in the pack.
Okay, and it was a ninja shirt, so yeah, that is very true. And also, who's going to be the first person to try to check that last arm on the giant and see if, I don't know if there's free key items, so I don't know if D missed too. That would be cheeky, having two key items on the giant.
Yeah, this is a no free key item seed, so we are on that demist hunt. As always, a very exciting time, because with all three of these objectives required to get the crystal, if any single one of them is locked behind that giant is 100% required.
Yep, and it looks like Twisted Flax is going to check Eblin, so potentially getting their crystal sword if they decide to take on the trap chest.
Yeah, and I gotta think that they're going to at this point in time for heading there, so I'll assume that at this point, and that'll definitely help. We'll have two runners who have that crystal sword and all the other goodies in that Eblin castle, and everyone else, well, maybe they'll make the same decision right afterwards.
Possibly. Indeed. And let's see, pretty much just trucking along. Everybody's just trucking along. I know I did see that there was a sylph in one of the chests on Ordeal, so I mean, but you really don't need Rydia when you got a Fu that can do everything.
I think at this point, if you're taking Iridia, you're taking her as an anchor, so
that
really...
Oh, I could see that. And it looks like Harump is our first person underground, so I'm going to check out that dwarf castle. I don't know if going shopping or actually going to try to blow it up.
I mean, I can see a pretty good argument for wanting to just get to 5 characters as soon as possible in this seed, because if you're going to be doing a lot of trap chests, you're going to be doing a lot of encounters that are going to grant you XP, and every little drop counts. You know, if it saves you another encounter later on, when you would have ended up taking that trap chest anyways, then you might as well try and get all 5 before then.
But going underground too, fading some of the checks on Earth. I mean, there's the darkness crystal that we know is in Antlion that can or cannot be kind of be an interesting play.
Yeah, I would think that the idea, if you're heading to Dwarf Castle, then would be to head down, get the free one in Feymarch, and you're wanting to then go down to the bottom of Sylph Cave, check trap chests in both Feymarch and Sylph Cave on the way, and then go back up and do the overworld after that, knowing that you can then at least remove 1 trip from Fabul, possibly 2 if you find the pan somewhere along the way. So I would assume that that's probably the reasoning here, is clear as much of underground so that when you go back up, you've got another check out of the way.
That's true. And we got a fun Ogo Pogo. We got the Nope Rope here, which can't... Oh yeah, it also counters with Blaze. But this team can handle it to a point. Okay, as Rosa goes down, I guess maybe not. No, I think this team can handle it.
This team will be very, very broken once it gets to that point. I think the second nuke should take down Ogo Pogo here, so they should be fine. But there are a couple little things that could just throw a wrench into plans.
Yes, that is very, very true. Like, I don't know, is Val mean here if she's the next part of, like, I know certain locations she's mean, but certain locations you're fine. Well, it don't matter, it's a DKC, so. Kind of another semi-free boss that's not bad, and there's a Tella. There's a potential anchor.
Yeah, if you were, like I was mentioning, hoping for characters to put XP on, well, you just got a very bad thing. But this DKC is, yeah, a bit dangerous because very low health from that Ogo Pogo, but does get the Cure 4 off with Fu, so will survive through this fight.
And I just noticed Harump's naming scheme, I think, is different cookies. Is no free bosses on?
Yeah, I do believe no free bosses is on, so you do actually have to take down this Dark Knight.
Interesting. That is actually pretty interesting. So, you gotta be careful on certain bosses like Water Hag and the King Queen Eblin as well. But yeah, as I was saying before noticing that, I noticed Harump's naming scheme is named after cookies, and now I want Oreo cookies because I saw Tella popped on the team.
I think it's named after cookies, but then I also saw, I think when the Rydia text came up, all durians grew up, so I'm not 100% sure anymore, unless there's just a durian cookie I don't know about.
I think everybody is cookies, and then there's Rydia, who's a durian, so, I mean, maybe there's a cookie called that, I don't know. I'm not versed in the world of cookies. And we got Rex taking on the Warrior Chest in Feymarch. So we'll see if that gives a potential key item.
We also did have the rare occasion up on Harump's side of Luca wearing actual jewelry around her neck with a crystal ring out of that. So that's a pretty good pickup in general, especially if you want to get that little bit of extra agility onto someone.
That's true. No, I think a Harump warp glitch. Is the warp glitch on?
I believe so.
Oh no! Uh-oh. Well, hopefully it's not something needed, but it's sometimes easy to forget it when the warp glitch is on or off, because I mean there are a lot of flag sets that do have it off, especially with the tournament coming up as well. And let's see. Yep, warp, life, and self glitches are on. Thank you for the details, chat. Appreciate that. And that's a pan as the freebie in Feymarch, so may or may not have to double dip self cave.
Yeah, I would think with the pan there, you're probably gonna want to try and get both the pan bonk and all of those trap chests down in one go. You won't get anything from the pan bonk because case summon is off, so really the only reason to fight any of these is going to be if there's a Demus down here in the Feymarch, but it's definitely going to be worth it. It looks like Tibble is about to head to the moon here, raising the whale at very least, so we're starting to see the real divergence. 3 players underground and 1 player heading up.
Yep. I mean, if anything, checking the shop, checking the free character that could be up there, so... And then just getting an idea of what could be at cave value and all the different locations. Just hopefully he realizes that bosses are not free and doesn't go try to do Water Hag or King Queen Eblin at cave value or something. Well, never mind. King Queen Eblin are underground, so never mind.
Yep, and so that's pretty good. For those who are not necessarily familiar with that flag, because we don't often play with that flag on stream, basically the no free bosses flag just removes the alternate win conditions from some fights. So you can't just sit there and then King and Queen Evelyn give their Shakespearean monologue and then fall over. You can't just wait for Dark Knight Cecil to hit 3 times and he gives his monologue and falls over. You have to actually beat the bosses in those spots. So it's a nice little wrinkle to sort of counter that extra power that we have from guaranteeing that fully powered Fu right at the start.
We got at least Rex checking self now. I don't know if he's going to check any of the trap chests. Could potentially check the Toad Lady, because that one's a pretty decent chest to check on early on. Nope, just going straight and going to go bonk a sleeping monk, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he might just be thinking, you know what, there's a little bit higher of a chance if I just keep plugging through these checks. I've still got a good amount of overworld to go through. I might as well just head up, get those 3 checks through Fabul, and then see where I'm at, and then maybe come back down for trap chests after. Because with K-Trap, it's sort of a gamble almost every time you're deciding what to do, because you're halfway between, do I want to do these trap chests now, knowing that there might not pay off, or do I want to just keep going through the seed and see if these K-main locations give me something before I commit too hard to spending a lot of time on all these chests?
It's true, and it looks like Skala's mentioning in chat, Odin is technically one that can be free if you can get the Thunderstruck, and it looks like the Warrior chest gave a tower key. I did not see that on Rex's side, so thank you for showing that Harump.
Yeah, and it looks like Tibble is heading to the Giant, so taking that risk to check those Giant trap chests early on, see if there's something in there. I really like this play. We have 10 other runners who are not on the stream also in this race. This is a 14-player race right now. And at some point in time in that 14-player race, you got to think either I'm relying on skill and luck by running the same race as everyone else, or I'm taking a risk and making my own luck. And Tybalt's definitely saying, I'm going to make my own luck today, and I really appreciate that.
Sometimes risking it for the biscuit pays off, and sometimes it doesn't, but it at least gets a idea of what's here, and that way, okay, I can come back later on if I'm unable to handle it, or you can just leave it and say, I'm never coming back to the Giant. Goodbye.
Yeah, and I gotta think the bosses are probably not on the table right now. All these trap chests are before the boss location. We don't have the vanilla Giant flag on, so they can just leave. I think the only time that you consider taking the bosses here is if you've gone through basically everything else and you're thinking, okay, where is Demist?
It's the only boss you want to hunt on Giant in this type of flag set. And I just like when things are a little mean and you have it like in a random spot that not many people check, just because it kind of adds a little bit of fun of hunting it down.
Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Tybalt does just check what that element spot is, that he knows that it's not a demist if there is even the chance there, because then you lower it to 1 location on the Giant instead of 2, so you're kind of having the chance that you have to come back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he drops a save, checks it, either resets out or goes from there, and we'll at least know what one of these Giant bosses is.
Harumph checked a chest that normally could be the Toad Lady, but it's not. And I don't think we saw if Tybalt got anything from that chest. Hanzo Steel? Okay. I mean, I don't know if he'd be taking an edge. He has a full team right now. He may replace Yang, but...
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of good Edge stuff already. You've got that ninja shirt, you've got 2 different pieces of that good weaponry already for Edge. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I think I would probably take the Edge over the Yang at this point in time. Also, partly because there is a chance the seed does not necessarily go 100% late enough to really, really, really make Yang make a difference. And also, you're getting a lot of equipment out of these trap chests anyways.
That is true. And so it looks like Tybalt is taking on the Mylon Z. So much fun. And we got Harumph heading back overworld. Let's see. It looks like going back. Oh, I don't know if Harumph ever checked Evelyn Castle, so might be checking that for the chest. I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. Well, not so pleasantly surprised with no key items, but pleasantly surprised with a defense sword. I think an Avenger came from here, and for sure a crystal sword.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that neither of our runners who got that tower key have gone to the tower yet. I'm kind of a little bit shocked by that, because there's a few treasure chests in there. There's 2 different key items that you can go through. So you're kind of checking off, I want to say, 6 checks by going to the tower right now. So I feel like that's a potentially very strong option that I'm kind of interested that everyone's sort of fading so far, even with that tower key from that summoner.
I don't know if maybe holding out for an edge to see if they could steal sirens if they have not found any in any shops, but I don't know.
That is a very, very good point, because sirens, I believe, can't be in shops. I believe the S-No J flag is on, so none of those J items are available in shops. So that might actually be a very, very good point that I did not think about there. Might just be waiting to see if they need to steal.
I missed that flag. So yes, I see that. So, and looks like we got. I don't know if anyone has checked Fabul, so Rex might be checking Fabul. Luca, done? Oh, the item from Luca. Yeah, and it looks like Tybalt got through Mylon Z, so. I mean, that Dorfax is nice, because now you can back row your Cane and Cecil without the use of a bow. Yeah, that was a lot of XP, so could help potentially in the future with not having to grind. Well, still have to grind, but not as much. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he considers just going and doing some of these other sort of high-level checks from here. You know, maybe he just tries and figures out. You know, there is a lower chance of key items from, like, Lunar Subterranean chests, but if you want to take, like, the hairdryer's chest or anything like that, now would be a very good time to do that, because other people might be waiting either for the 10 key items for that or otherwise.
And also, Tybalt should really get off the Giant. Demist is not on Giant. Demist is at Fabul.
This really is the story of the other 3 are kind of like sort of passing each other here and there, but taking mostly the same seed, and Tybalt is taking all these risks that aren't quite paying off for him, unfortunately, but they've all been really, really sound and smart gambles. It's just some days they don't work for you.
True. I mean, on the other hand, though, experience is always a good thing. So we'll see. There's Heroine Robe that we were discussing earlier. Evil Wall, that doesn't seem fun. That don't seem fun.
It does not, but we did just get a Legend Sword from that Demist fight in Fabul, and a Luca key, which, depending on whether or not you warp glitched, is not really required in any way, shape, or form here. So we did kind of only get 1 piece of progress, but it is a very important piece of progress, because that's 1 out of the 5 key items we need for our objectives.
Very true. And Rex is going to check that. No, is going to check Antlion. Okay. or not. Is going to save. Safety save is always a good thing, because I've had it where I haven't saved, and then I wiped the boss, and then I lost at least good 10 minutes of progress where I thought I had a key item, and I didn't have a key item. So I completely agree with that safety save. Nothing wrong with that.
Might also be dropping a save there too, just because if he doesn't like the key item, he could reset out of it. Of course, we know it's the Darkness Crystal, so we know he's going to want it anyways.
Yep. That is also very true too.
It's not like you're hurting for casts of exit on this team, though. At least once we get through Tower of Zot, we'll have 3 different people with it.
I mean, I'm surprised he got through Evil Wall. Cecil was hacking away. So we get to see at least the character on Giant, so that's something we don't see every day.
Tybalt is kind of giving a masterclass right now in how you can really leverage the power of this team early. It's just not necessarily getting him any progress, but everybody's going for it. And that Palom's not great here.
I mean, it's a Palom. Palom was hiding on the Giant. Yeah, when you got a Fu, you really don't need a Palom.
I think the real question is, I believe Rex is probably going to go check what is behind this D-Mist location now at this point in time. So this is the real big thing. Is it one piece of progress behind it or 2?
And also a tip too, landing on that side prevents if you end up getting the package and you have to leave the other side, because if you try to leave the it's a bit of a dud, but if you try to leave on the left side of the town and you get package, it does activate the cutscene. So you do kind of want to park on the right side of it just to help prevent that. So unfortunately, D-Mist is a bit of a... I mean, a Lunar Staff isn't bad, but not a key item.
Yeah, and I think you're really, really just wanting progress in this seed, because once you start really going through these trap chests because of the K-Trap flag, you're going to get good equipment anyways. So anytime you get... It kind of like cycles into itself, where you get a lot of good loot, it feels bad getting good loot because it's not a key item.
That is true. That's very true. So there's the Luke key. And yeah. And the biggest boss of all is the inventory boss. That's the biggest boss of all. We all know that. That and the NPCs.
Yeah, inventory boss is always 100% the most rudest thing you can encounter, no matter what seed you're running. That Luca key is definitely good for... I don't believe either of our runners who did Dwarf Castle were glitched, which might not have noticed the flag was on, because sometimes that can be easy to miss. I know I've missed it a few times myself while running seeds.
Yep.
And for those who aren't used to the warp glitch, who haven't watched too much Free Enterprise before, basically after you do that Dwarf Castle check, while you're standing in that throne room with the King and Luca, if you cast warp, it will warp you back into that crystal room, which is also the crystal room from the sealed cave. So you can just grab the key item that would be at the bottom of that sealed cave and then walk back out, grab the Dwarf Castle reward, get both from only doing Dwarf Castle.
Oh, there was an X-Gal in there too. But also too, if you happen to leave that room, don't fret. As long as you don't leave the castle, you can still warp back to that. I actually learned that last week when I was on comms with Poorly Drawn Bees. So as long as you don't leave the castle, you can still warp. But the second you leave the castle, you can no longer warp. But it's just a lot easier to warp when you're already in that room.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really, really one of those things where it kind of sneaks up on you as a thought of like, oh, I probably should warp here. Sometimes if I'm not 100% sure, I'll just warp in that room anyways to double check, because there's no downside to it. So it is kind of that thing where you can always mitigate around not seeing that flag, but it is hard to... it's much harder to recover from not seeing it and missing it. But we are going to see Harumph go here, so we will see if that ends up mattering in the end.
That is very true. Because I know certain racers, it has and hasn't kind of cost them a race. So. But it looks like, yeah, Harumph is kind of the only person right now kind of doing a little bit something different, so... We also know D-Mist isn't here, so we get at least a check of who's not on the moon and who's not in a nasty spot holding a key item. And actually, we get Twisted Flax heading towards Tower, so get those checks online and see if Twisted Flax checks the chest. Yep. That answered that question fairly quickly.
I suppose too, if you wanted to try and save sirens to, steal later, you could just check, count the number of trap chests you're doing, leave one trap chest, and then come back for it later. But I think if you were doing that, you would probably want to start at the top with looting and work your way down so it's as close to the entrance as possible. So I assume that we're going to see him clear all 4 trap chests here.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have done that myself, where I've done. Oh, and it's not even worth it. It's just samurai arrows. But I've done that myself, where I've left one chest, usually not towards the bottom, because as I'm heading up, I'm like, oh, I'm already heading up. I'll leave the one at the top. Because that's usually by the time I remember to leave one. So, but yeah, that is a very good strat to have.
Yeah, I haven't played with K-Trap enough to really be used to it. The one time I played with K-Trap was in a Mystery Seed ladder race when I did not realize K-Trap was on until I finally just had a pass drop from a trap chest that I randomly decided to open because the feeling was nagging me too much. And so it's something that's easy, for me to think of when I'm not here actually racing. But if I were racing, I probably would do the exact same thing. Just, oh right, I wanted to leave one of these. I guess I'm gonna have a bit of a hike if I come back for sirens later.
That's true, and it looks like Tybalt might have not realized that there was no free bosses and might have flight, unfortunately. And it looks like Twisted Flax got a white shirt out of one of those trap chests, so not bad for Rosa, or, I mean, you could give it to Fu, but Rosa helped power up her healing spells.
Yeah, definitely. It'll help her out a good deal, making sure that she's able to get through it. She'll probably be doing most of her healing with Cure 4 late game, so she needs a single target to heal for max anyways, but it will pump up those AoE Cure 4s a little bit more, which are going to be the more important ones when we get to the Z fight in particular.
And Cecil's like, nope, I don't need to deal with my Dark Knight Cecil self anymore. We're done.
Yeah, I guess, Dark Knight Cecil tonight, most of the time, like in vanilla, he's up on top of the mountain, it's reflective, and here it's just like remembering a time earlier in your life when you're into things that were underground, because he's in Dwarf Castle. Yeah. So really, sort of a hipster Cecil today has been knocked down at this crystal.
And that's an earth crystal in one of the trap chests, so that's a nice find. That incentive, that gives at least Harumph the incentive to go and potentially check that, maybe get the treasury going, and maybe check that flame dog chest, which technically you do not need the earth crystal to go check the flame dog chest, but it's nice to try to do it all in one swoop. But if you're desperate, I mean, there could be a chance where the flame dog chest has the earth crystal, and kind of a little bit cheeky in that regards.
Yeah, definitely. It's like what I like to call sort of soft required key item locations, like soft gated locations where, yeah, it's technically not gated, but are you ever really going to want to commit to going up Earth Crystal, up Tower of Zot just to fight that Flame Dog chest, or sometimes check that Maga Sister fight, unless you're pretty sure that it has something you need? And so I don't think anyone would go for it unless they had to, but it is interesting that it's here too, because that's another 2 chances to find that edge. And if you're holding off on this tower because you want that potential chance to steal sirens out of it later, you actually need to open trap chests here to get those 2 extra character checks out of Tower of Zot.
True, Flame Dog could have underground access as well. And so Twisted Flax is showing us that Azura is at top of tower, and it looked like it was Dr. Luge that's one of the bosses on the hook route.
Yeah, I don't think we'll end up seeing anyone go up the hook route more than just the trap chest distance up the hook route, which I think I would be very tempted to do if I got a hook, especially, if I don't think anyone else would do it, which I think is a good chance, because you're really only going up for that at this point in time, and it's only 2 trap chests anyway, so it's not the biggest, risk-reward calculation there. But it'll be interesting to see if people go for it, because now we know that you could see what the other bosses there. Actually, no, never mind. I'm misremembering. Never mind.
I always forget that too. I always forget that technically the boss at the top of tower is the same boss you see when you peek in the hook route. So I get that.
My brain wants to think that the one that you see on the actual hook route is one of the spots, and the one that you see at the top of tower is the other one, and they're not just the exact same one because it's the same character in both. So my mind's like, oh, well, now we know what 1 of 2 is. We need to see what 2 of 2 is.
I mean, the only way it can work technically, and I had this in one of the seeds that I recently did, is if you technically have both spots be lure sparkles. Because then technically, yes, you did see both spots.
The good old like Mylon and Friends into Mylon Z hook route.
That is true. Yeah, one of the seeds I had Ogopogo into Paledem. That was a fun hook route. And we got through Azura and was given a spoon. Fortunately, we have no Edward, and no Edge, so no one can eat vanilla ice cream. So, and I don't even think the spoon.
I believe the spoon is off on this one too, which is always a shame. Please let Edward hit things. We're begging you at this point in time. Just put the spoon flag on. It's fun for all ages. But we are going to see what's in this super cannon spot. Probably the easiest boss spot in the entire underground by quite a bit. So you kind of want to see something nasty here, and hey, wish granted.
The only thing you don't want to see, and I've had this happen, is Ogopogo. I've seen Ogopogo here. I was on low health thinking I could take it on. No, his waves still hurt a lot. Just a heads up. So if you have low health and you go in there and you see Ogopogo and you're like, oh, this is gonna be fine. Beware of the big waves. They can hurt you. But this flag is not gonna be around long.
There's 2 forms of annoying super cannon encounter. There's the Ogopogo that wipes you, and then there's when you get Dr. Dialogue and you still have to listen to entire cutscenes worth of speech waiting for him, when you know that you're just going to bonk him once and he's going to fall over.
And Golbez. But Golbez is annoying no matter where.
He's annoying, but, you know, a game without just random ha 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 anytime you get to a boss fight would be a much less fun viewing experience, because you never know when someone's about to have a bad time waiting for that to happen.
Everybody needs a good little laugh in their life, right? Right? It's funny, right?
Exactly. It's funny for us, not so much for the runners.
No. I was talking more for us. I mean, the audience is the more important ones, right? No, I'm kidding. Our racers are very important, and it's a big thank you to them for volunteering to be restreamed. And looks like Tibble got his Earth Crystal, and a big also to shout out once again, back to the restream team. My wonderful commentator here, Nth, and Asuka being on the restream, and first time Lamian Harp, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, I'm so sorry if I didn't, on tracking duty. And I honestly gotta applaud her for her tracking with K-Main and Trap.
Yeah, I can't read some of these trap chest contents fast enough, and, you know, I know if I were tracking this race, which I don't really track anymore just because I can't quite move quickly enough, and because I miss stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a thing. Oh, Twisted Flax getting the harp and then grabbing the wrong chocobo immediately, unfortunately.
Those little black little chocobos are a pain to grab. I have chased one for at least a minute before I could grab one. But yes, we're gonna be getting some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful music. Maybe we'll get some Legend of Zelda. It's gonna be Asuka's favorite, right?
I always root for the Kirby music personally, because it is so upbeat and it really does not fit with the tone of this game whatsoever. So you get down here and it's like, you know, evil dark elf, and then it's just suddenly green greens playing in the background, so it kind of creates a wonderful sense of tonal dissonance. But for those who haven't joined us for this randomizer before, we have hundreds of harp songs randomized to take the place of the little harp tune that Edward plays down here at the bottom, so we're about to see what that's going to lead to here very soon.
music. We can even have Edward shred on the harp with like Butterfly from DDR, but we're about to find out soon, so me and my commentator will be quiet so you guys can hear it.
Well, it did seem like heavy CPU was ready to launch there. Did get that wonderful Super Mario RPG normal battle theme and a pink tail, so that is a required heart tonight. So I hope y'all enjoyed that because we're gonna hear it 3 more times before this is over, 100% guaranteed. Harumph has gone up to loot this treasury up here at Troya Castle. Some interesting things in there. I know I saw an Artemis bow, saw a ribbon. I believe I saw a protect ring as well. So overall, I would give that like a good solid 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, and I think I saw a black shirt in there as well. So looks like Harump's gonna fade music, unfortunately, right now, but is going to check that earth and see if stuff up here is required. And it looks like a Twisted Flax is right hot on the trail, and we got Rex playing an encore of the music. So
Yeah, and while we've got a quick moment here too, do you see that nuke cast going off from the Fu? Now, if you haven't watched too much Free Enterprise before, if you're new, first of all, welcome. Please join our wonderful community, our wonderful Discord. Have a run at this game for yourself. It is wonderful. Our community is wonderful. Secondly, if you knock your whole party down while they're stunned, you get that out of the way very quickly. Don't have to wait for him to knock everyone down. And speaking of the wait, now is the heart time, so I'm going to wait to explain any more about this. All right, so Rex now going to get his pink tail too, so that'll be 2 runners through that harp check. And it does look like we're up on Harump's corner of the world here, where we're up here in Tower of Zot. First of all, Masamune from that Flame Dog chest, and secondly, Vanilla Magus Sisters.
Like, has a use. It's vanilla. You can eat the vanilla ice cream now, but yeah. Getting a bunch of edge gear when there's no edge yet. Oh, that's a little spicy. Unless there's one behind this door.
Wondering, if you find an edge behind this door at this point in time, when is the point where you decide that it's no longer worth the investment in that edge? If you have a defense sword for the Cane, crystal sword for the Cecil, you have a Rosa, you have a Fu, you've already done the trap chests in the lower Tower of Zot, so you're not going to get the sirens out of it. I gotta wonder, are our runners even going to end up bothering taking an edge at this point if they find it? But it is a Porum here in slot 1.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you have a curse string, instead of having Tella dedicated as your, if you want to go more like hitting strats, unless you don't want Tella as your anchor, you could always put the curse string on Fu. After he's done all this work, he can take a little bit break in the Z fight, and nope, it's a Sid. But he can take a little break, and you can have 3 potential Zerkers, and Rosa just makes sure to heal, and we have Fu just in there chilling. But that's if you find a curse string. So it's very situational. But again, we find a Sid, a little child has an old man.
It's very kind of Home Alone up here. We have the small child who's, sort of guarding the tied up adult in the back, sort of like, Sid broke into this tower attempting to steal things and then leave the water running. And we've gone full Home Alone with Porum here. But speaking of good sense of humor with Golbez, well, it's Golbez time.
Doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how... I mean, it doesn't matter the gear. But he still could potentially have Shadow eat your face.
Also, one other thing I want to point out up on Harump's side. First of all, he did end up taking that Sid... probably, like you said, gonna plan on grabbing a curse string where you can and just dropping that on Sid, using him as your anchor from here on out. But also, another thing I want to point out is I have finally figured out the naming scheme. I believe it might be some sort of cake theme, because I'm thinking icebox cake is where I've heard icebox in the context of desserts, and there are durian cakes. You got chocolate cakes, vanilla cakes. So I think it might be a cake theme.
I think it's an ice cream cake theme. And I've actually had coworkers when I used to work at a job. She would make a really good ice cream cake. So I can see that. And I guess we should mention too, Tybalt's actually checking all the trap chest in Sylph. And I don't know if anything of value's been found so far.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, been the unfortunate theme, is that Tybalt is making a lot of very good choices, and they're not quite paying off. Apparently there was an adamant armor in one of them. The no adamant flag is not on, so hey, if you want to make this very strong party a little bit stronger, how about that adamant armor? And meanwhile, up here on Harump's end, we're done with Tower of Zot, and that is a hard required tower for a pass.
Much fun. But comes with taking gambles, as you sometimes get the payout and sometimes it does kind of not exactly work. So it's a toss-up, but so far that is both music and earth required, so that's going to be fun. Actually, I didn't really... Oh no, I think Harump is going to check the trap chest here, because I thought Harump smacked the monk already.
I believe so, but we'll see in just a moment here. Also, he did find a dwarf axe for back row glitching that cane, so that's another great thing. And also, you can equip that dwarf axe to your Sid. That'll help with anchoring too. So it looks like he might actually be taking a couple of random encounters here.
Potentially, maybe knocking out Sid. So Sid doesn't get levels?
Possible, but I feel like if you're taking a Sid for an anchor, you expressly don't knock him out because you want that. I feel like if you're taking Sid as an anchor, you want an anchor who's going to stay alive, and that's going to be your number one reason for going for that. And also, the no EXP flag is on, so you don't really want these encounters either.
You would just use the encounters to knock a character out. There's that bit. I'm sure her ump likes that.
Yeah, Sylph Cave not 100% haunted. We did see a hook pop up down on Tybalt's end somewhere along the way. I do see it lit up on his tracker. Yep. So this is required Sylph Cave chests. And that's also 4 out of the 5 key items. We're really only looking for adamants at this point.
Yeah, and ooh. Oh, Rex, no. Rex wiped to Golbez and has to do the Mega Sister fight all over again. Oh no. But I mean, the Mega Sisters aren't too bad.
Yeah, and it was just unlucky. Whenever you reach Golbez, you're kind of at that point of like, well, this is not going to be a pleasant moment here. But we do see up on Twisted Flax's side, he has chosen to take pig strats and mini strats into the Golbez fight. The way that status effects work in this game, of course, is on a priority system. So if you have a higher priority status effect, like Pig, like Mini in this case, he cannot use hold on those characters, and you can start inputting these walls, and since he only flings spells, he starts just chipping away at his own HP, and it does turn into a quote-unquote free fight from there.
That is very true. Plus, it's kind of cute watching the little pig cheer.
Absolutely. I'm way more of a fan of pig strats than I am of mini strats. The pig sprite is amazing. The fact that every Final Fantasy game does not have a pig strat sprite is, in my eyes, a crime that should be corrected at some point in time. But we do have it here. We are seeing it here. We are seeing that Golbez fall down, so he will have that pass in hand very soon as well.
Yep. It looks like Rex is taking up the pig strat as well, so we'll be dealing with Golbez. And we got Tybalt just doing Fabul, finding that D-Mist, and going to be turning in the Sheila, and maybe doing potentially music into Earth? Maybe going back underground?
I think so. I mean, at this point in time, routes have diverged quite a bit, but they're kind of all coming back together because there's not too much progress that I can see in places that are not trap chests right now. Because we've seen the rewards from every rabbit hole that is left, except for just doing those trap chests. So we are in a full-on, real 100% treasure hunt to see who finds that adamant armor first, as long as everyone else finds that hook in Sylph Cave. Otherwise, the 2 runners who have that hook so far have a huge advantage if the other 2 do not head back to Sylph Cave.
That is very true. And Tybalt's going to be greeted with just the disappointment of a lunar staff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here too where the remaining trap chests are, and at this point in time, I think it's just Eblin Pass and Moon. So
yeah, I think that might be it. And there's some nasties that could be on that Moon, like the fade. I've only heard of it. I've never tried doing it, but the Bimmy and Jimmy chest, where it's the blue and the red dragon. That one could be a bit nasty. I mean, adamant armor works, right? Can you forge the armor with the sword?
Possibly. I mean, the other thing too is that pink tail will turn into an adamant armor, so our runners are going to have 2 adamant armors in all likelihood by the time they get there. So really, right now, thinking about that and expanding on that, you're not really worried about your Z fight in this seed anymore. You're just worried about finding that adamant armor.
Mm-hmm. And don't even have to, well, knock on wood, don't have to dive the Moon too much, but might have to find that adamant armor. That would be funny. Have the pass, but you have to dive that armor. or you have to dive the moon very deep to get that block of metal. And looks like chat corrected. There is 2 on the hook route. There, one in the actual cave and one in the tower itself.
Yeah, the 2 in the Eblin Pass. Yeah.
Yep.
So those 2 will be probably first on everyone's mind when they go there. I have to feel like that's going to be a much more appealing thing than going to the moon and coming back. A question that, well, you don't need to open that pass door yet. For a second there, I was going to think, well, do you open the pass door? And I'm right, no, you have to actually come back to Forge. So that's but if our runners follow these through all the way, everything they can on the Earth, and there is just trap chests on the moon, then this race is going to come down to what direction do you take through the moon and how efficiently do you get to those trap chests. Because going in a different direction than everyone else might gain you some things. Like if you don't go to the lunar path chest early on, you just dive down to the subterranean. It's in the subterranean, then you gain that time back. But we're about to have music round 3 here, so I'll be quiet. I appreciate the showmanship on Tybalt's end.
I know, I was like, I like that. It's like, why individually take them out when you could just medio everything?
And that's the fun of these community races too. Like, obviously all of our competitions are fun, and especially if you find the competition's fun, make sure you're tuning in a couple weeks for the beginning of the qualifiers for the Highway to the Zenith Zone 4 tournament. But also, the thing about these community races is because the stakes are lower, it's all just for fun, just for, you know, the joy of running this game as a community. You see things like that you don't see someone who's competing in a tournament do.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. And now he's going to check Treasury, and we got Rex checking the last chest, getting met with that Hanzo steel. So, is he going to check the moon? That would be a little interesting. And we got Harumph going to check. Oh, I didn't realize Harumph actually did not do Antlion Cave. So Harumph's going to check the Antlion Cave and get his darkness. So, yeah, that's true. Could go do hairdryers. Hairdryers is a decent trap chest on the moon to do.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the quickest one to do here in this case. The question is, after hair dryers, does he decide, okay, I'm already committed to the moon, I'm going to dive the subterranean, or does he decide, I haven't done Sylph Cave yet, maybe I should go back down there? And I feel like if you're committing to going to the moon at this point in time, you're committing to that cutscene, and you were going to end up going to Sylph Cave anyways, you might have done it first, so I have a feeling that Rex Banner might just launch into the subterranean checks.
Mm-hmm. And two, you could also, I know I've had this happen where sometimes you know you already went there and you might have already went, oh, maybe I already did the chest, and that's a possibility too. Only greeted with a Bahamut. No Rydia to, nope, gonna go right underground and do that self chest, so nothing wrong with that, but only greeted with the Bahamut, so if Rydia was here it'd be great, but we don't need a Rydia right now. We have a pretty great team as it is. This is pretty much it. I have a feeling a Z team.
Definitely in Twisted Flax, still clearing out these Sylph Cave chests, has not gotten the hook out of it yet. And we're kind of just at this point where we're collectively like, which checks haven't they done yet? Because I know that I had, for some reason, forgotten that Tybalt did the giant, but also knew that he did the giant, so I just assumed everyone had already done the giant, and then, during that music, I see him tap dancing on the screen and Rex Banner's end. I'm like, oh, right, no, the giant is an option for some of these runners, too.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like Harump is going to be our first runner to check this hook route.
We'll see if that hopefully some value, or is that shiny rock buried somewhere deep on the moon.
I know which one I'm hoping for as a commentator, but I know which one our runners are hoping for.
Oh
here.
yeah, I'm hoping. To be honest, I'm kind of hoping that it's on the moon. I mean, it could be a quick seed, and it could be a very long seed. So we will see. I mean, I have never really bothered with the chest on the moon, but then again, I've only done one flag set that's K-Trap, and I really didn't need to do much of the moon. So I don't know what is kind of meanest on the moon, what could be funny, holding it. Last chest before Z on the moon. I mean, that's true.
I feel like at the point where you're checking all the subterranean chests, there's so many subterranean chests, your mind is like, well, any one of these kind of is not the best. And so you're like, well, I guess this is what it is here. So, do you take a risk and go for treasure chests that you think people will get to later on the moon? Is there a world in which you decide, I'm going to do the sort of odd way of routing around it and take a risk and do the later chests on the moon looking for those trap chests in the hopes that I pass someone who's doing trap chests that didn't matter in the end?
Mm-hmm. True. And we'll see. We'll definitely see if it's here on the Earth still, or you gotta dive that moon. And if it's here on Earth, well, don't need to worry about the moon. So
yeah, and in Harump's case, even if he does find that, does end up finding the trap chest and does end up finding the adamant in one of these two hook route chests, he still has to go and do the Twin Harp anyways. So I would say if that's the case, then Twisted Flax is definitely in a lead here.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, it's still anyone's game completely.
That's very true. And so far has not hit that one chest. Of course, it's going to be like one of the last chests in the cave for the trap chest here. Okay, I wasn't serious game. I was kind of joking, but I guess it is the last chest in the cave for the boss fight. Oh, and it's according to some people, best boy ever, Edward. He is on the hook route. I mean, well, unfortunately, the spoon flag is not on, so we can't exactly take him and him do a bunch of damage.
And I think, have we seen Iridia somewhere? Because if so, that means that Iridia and Edge are both in the bed and in the package, so neither one of those likely to be found.
Yeah, I don't think so, honestly. I don't think anyone's even checked the bed, so I would assume not. And that was a pretty palette for Edward, I will say.
Oh, you know what I'm hoping for that I just thought of because I just looked at all of the things that are still on there is last chest on the moon that gives Rat Tail, that gives Baron Key, and then it's the Baron reward.
Yes! A whole line, yes. And that's another place, too. Baron might have a... That was something What was that?
It was something, but
Package.
it can't have been.
That was package. That was package. Okay.
Can't have been too appealing because he's still going for it. So.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Although he doesn't have the pink tail, so he could still be looking for that even if it was the adamant.
Yeah, but no, it was the package.
Now, one thing that's important is now that we brought up the Baron Key to sort of add into the intrigue of any move could be the move that wins the race. If you go up to the moon and you open one of those chests and find a Baron Key, do you consider going out, saving outside the subterranean, going down, checking Baron, knowing that you're going to be spending a lot of time in there, or do you just full clear the moon in the hopes that you hit Adamant out of one of those trap chests?
Because, I mean, on the one hand, with how many trap chests are on the moon, you have a higher chance of getting the key item. Well, because Baron only gives one key item, but it's like if I don't check it, it's there. But if I check it, it's not there. You know, it's hard to. It's really hard to judge. And also, I mean, maybe depends on if you know. Well, they're not vanilla, so it's not like you can go anywhere you want with the trap chest.
Definitely. We are about to see what this chest gives. If this gives the Baron Key, then obviously you go there before going to the moon. It gives an Avenger. That Baron Key and that Adamant are somewhere locked behind those moon trap chests in the lunar subterranean.
That is true. And I gotta give Rex some credit. He's using the float strats to take on the stealth chest, so... Oh, there was a Stardust Rod. Missed that one. But that helps so you don't take damage while you're walking around on the poison tiles here, and... I know, was it Twisted Flax that... No, it was Harump that did the stone strat, where if you're able to land stone, you can just deal with the, all the Mad Ogres fairly quickly. Well, the thing is, where did we get Pinktail?
Pinktail is down at the bottom of music, and Harumph is continuing to fade that hard required Twin Harp check, unfortunately. So he's going to be heading to the moon looking for that Adamant and looking for that Pinktail that he does not know is not on that moon. So, I mean, I guess in this case, you might as well take the 10, 11 checks out of doing the trap chest. I don't remember which runner did the hair dryers already. It feels like so long ago. And it's maybe the density is you're thinking, okay, I can't finish the seed by doing Twin Harp. I should go to the moon, get all these trap chests, and hope that I finish the seed off of it, which is unfortunate because we know from our perspective high up here that you have to do that Twin Harp.
Mm-hmm. But it is a long check as well, so I get why some people fade it. I enjoy it because it's pretty music, and you get to hear beautiful music that lovely people in the community like Scala and Calamity, and I'm sure there's other names on there too that I am missing.
Xenocat has done a good number of them as well.
So there's lovely music, and actually Harumph is doing Giant. I forgot Harumph didn't do Giant. So that's not a bad play if you haven't been there yet, so that's not a bad play.
I know, it just feels like everyone's already done the Giant, doesn't it? But then someone else goes and does it, and there he comes again out of the tower, ready to tap dance his way across the globe, and nope, this is not going to pay off, but it is still a delight to see.
And I was corrected. Scala does not do music, but Scala does do the wonderful sprite artwork, and it's Xenocat board and Calamity. So, and Rex Banner getting a second Adamant, so putting it on Rosa, not bad. So Gold can have the Adamants.
Yep, and with 2 Adamant armors and the chance if you're going up to that lunar subterranean, again, this is on the beta flag, so this is with that tier 8, and I believe with T Wildish on, the chances of getting more adamant armors out of those lunar subterranean chests is actually pretty high. So we could actually see, you know, it is a little bit of a long shot, but imagine a world in which you have 4 out of your 5 party members, not including whoever you're using to anchor, and all of them have the adamant armor. If you have 5, honestly, at that point in time, don't bother anchoring. Just put a 5th adamant armor on. What does it matter anymore?
True. And Harumph staring in disbelief that the item from the giant is only Hanzo steel, so...
Actually, have we seen the Moon Altar character yet?
Yes, it's so long ago. I know
Was that the Yang that I was trying to figure out where he came from? Okay, thank you. Because he appeared out of nowhere, and I had no clue where he came from, and I couldn't figure it out.
I mean, he's a monk. Monks like to appear out of nowhere, right?
It was one of those this just sort of happened, and it's been going on for so long, and at this point I am too afraid to ask sort of moments for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, resetting out of the Tibble is resetting out of there. Greeted with the sad news that only package is there, so not gonna really worry about a package. Gonna go get his 2nd adamant armor and probably gonna go dive that moon.
Well, this is it. It's all down to the subterranean at this point in time. It's all down to what decisions all of our runners, not just these 4 runners, make sure you give them all a follow, by the way, but also the 10 runners that we have off stream, what decisions they make from here. Because if any one of them diverges and it pays off, then at this point in time, I feel like they've probably won the race.
Mm-hmm. And moment, we have not had a first place finisher yet, so it could be buried. It could be buried pretty deep.
I mean, I was joking about that last location Baron key into Adamant, but it could be at this point. Well, last location Rat Tail into Baron key into Adamant, I believe, was my... Please don't let it be that, because if the runners come back, watch this, I'm going to have to go into hiding predictions here.
the joys of the commentator's curse. So...
I mean, if you can't curse a run every now and again, then I wouldn't be here as often, having as much fun doing this commentary as possible.
And I mean, on the one hand, you could say, well, we could get it out of the way before the tournament even starts, but on the other hand, you might want to kind of curse the tournament a little bit on some certain moments, right?
This will pay me back, because again, these flags, if you appreciate these flags, you think you would have fun running these flags, and you want a little bit of a sort of lighter competitive experience, but still a competitive experience, this is one of the flag sets for Season 3 of our ladder. So I assume that if I ever run this on a ladder race, if my prediction comes true, this flag set will pay me back at some point.
Usually how it works, and there's not just this flag set, but there's so many other flag sets too with the ladder, like. So if you're not enjoying this one, there could be something out there for you. Like I know my personal favorite has been Supermarket Sweep, where you can just immediately like buy everything for nothing, and you get an edge. You can start darting those X-Scales so easily, and it very quick seeds. So that one's always a fun one. So there's a lot of different type of flag sets out there that can kind of fit your play style. Because there's also the giant percent, there's so many other ones, and it looks like Harumph is checking the behemoth chest, and we got Twisted Flax being another person that has not checked the diet. Oh, nope. Going to go check the moon? Or doing a save on the moon? Or did Flax just do the giant and I missed it?
I don't know, I got so excited by the first sighting of a lunar trap chest here that I looked away for a moment. I have to imagine that he might have checked the giant, because I believe it leaves the lunar whale there, and he might have walked out instead of resetting to another save. He might not have had a save before then.
And I mean, you have 1 crystal sword, but how about 2 crystal swords? So 1 you can give to Cecil and 1 you can sell, right? Or give to the big chocobo.
Get up
it's
to
a
3,
win-win.
then you can sell 1. big
true.
chocobo one, equip one, maybe get a fourth, and then find that edge like behind the package or something, grab him anyways, dart one, and then you've really made the entire Free Enterprise community happy with your Crystal Sword usage.
Can you dart the Crystal Sword?
You can't dart the Crystal Sword, and I didn't realize until you asked right then that I was wrong.
I want the flag where you can dart the Crystal Sword. I want to dart it. Come on.
You
Can
heard
we
that
dart
here
it?
first, folks. If you want dartable Crystal Sword, go to the... No, I'm kidding.
Oh wait, no, that's a trap chest. I was about to say, oh no, it's alt gauntlet. No, trap chest. There's no K Moon.
The alt gauntlet was so long ago that like I forgot it happened until you mentioned that. I was like, maybe there's an alt gauntlet in Baron that could add to it. No, wait, that was... Where even was that at this point? I don't remember.
The key item, but not the right key item.
Mount Ordeal's first slot. That was the one.
Okay, there we go. But that was a sand ruby from this chest.
Right, Scala pointing out World Championship of Darts. That's why, because I was here for the World Championship of Darts Wacky Races stream, and I think someone darted a Crystal Sword during it, and that's probably why I remember.
And it looks like Harumph and Tybalt are maybe doing the same trap chest or same chest. So it's gonna be interesting, and maybe not. We'll see.
I feel like at this point in time, with how high of a power level all of our runners have had throughout this seed, and with how buried this final key item is, what we're gonna have is the first person who's gonna finish. And then there's going to be like 10 people within 5 minutes of them at this point, because this is accordioned back into being such a close race at this point in time that it really could go any which way, and no matter what, our runners are going to be close when they get there.
And that is a double dragon chest, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's so fascinating because, again, we have such high power levels across these parties. But some of these trap chests are still going to pose threats, especially these double dragon chests. You know, it's almost a little bit scarier than sometimes the K Moon flag, because the K Moon flag, you can get easy bosses on the moon, and there's still a lot out there. There's still, you know, all of these are just random enemies, but they fill a boss location ones. There's the there's other ones like that, Mylon and Friends, but these are always going to be consistently hard. And hey, another Excalibur.
I just realized, technically, even if Harumph and Tybalt find it at the same time, Harumph still does not have that pink tail.
Absolutely, but again, you know, if one of these trap chests is the Baron key, and one of them leaves, and it's not the Baron key, then, you know, that's going to swing it again.
That is very true. There are so many ways that this can swing. So it really determines on the plays the players make, obviously.
That's kind of the thing. It's almost hard to talk about these close races like this sometimes, because everyone is so close together that it's kind of like everyone's doing the same thing at once. So... You know, now is a very good time, while we're clearing some of these trap chests, really just waiting for them to drop to, as was just done via the commands in chat. Make sure you give our runners a follow. Also, make sure you follow our restream team, myself and Hart, as well as Asuka, who has rolled this wonderful seed. Wonderful, whether or not that's in quotation marks, is entirely up to personal opinion. And Lamia Harp doing an absolutely wonderful job first time tracking, and there is a rat tail out of a chest for Harumph.
And Tybalt. Oh, now do you leave and check it, or do you keep going? And it looks like they're both going to keep going, so...
I feel like if it's this late, you play the numbers and you just stay there. And I think maybe if you have Rat Tail and Baron Key, then you're more tempted to leave, because you're not leaving for one check and then having another rabbit hole pop up afterwards. But I'm not sure. I think all of our runners have got to be feeling the pressure right now. And one of them's bound to just sort of crack under that pressure a little bit. Not necessarily crack as in like that's a bad thing, and decide, you know what, if I'm going to win this race, I need to go for that rat tail.
Mm-hmm. It's like each key item is that Mentos you're putting in the Coca-Cola bottle, and when are you not gonna be able to get that cap back on, and it's just gonna explode everywhere. It's pretty much what could happen. And as some people...
yeah, it's also the question of, is it like a regular Coke bottle or is it the Diet Coke bottle, where if you dump enough of those in there and turn it upside down, you can launch that bottle into space practically off of them, sort of thing. So definitely that amount of pressure is definitely building here.
Mm-hmm. How about a third X-Cal? You don't want one X-Cal? How about 2 X-Cals? How about a third? And no edge to dart them. Oh yes, it's not Coca-Cola, it's Coca-Cola.
Absolutely, 100%. And, one thing I've noticed a lot of people talking about with Zima Stone 4 coming up is whether or not people will start doing lunar subterranean chests in order to get, Cecil weapons, if you have a Cecil. Because Tier 8, in those flags at least, with the no adamant flag on, is only Excaliburs and Crystal Swords. And this is definitely... I know this is T-Wildish and not T-Pro, but this is showing the potential of, like, what you can get if you get lucky out of these. And, that's interesting to me, because I really hope that we start seeing some of these, even with that T-Pro instead of T-Wildish, we start seeing some of these checks in races when we get into that tournament.
Yes, and again, apparently there was another X-Cal, and as Asuka said, it's the Oprah of X-Cals for the seed. So you get an X-Cal, you get an X-Cal. Can we just duct tape X-Cals to everybody? Does that work? I mean,
Rosa
if it was
just over there with her bow, and instead of arrows, she's just firing Excaliburs.
Yes, I want that. Instead of firing darts or the arrows, she gets to fire X-Cals. Let that happen. I mean, there is a wacky flag set on the Dexterous where everyone can wear anything. You want... Someone legitly could wear full armor of X-Cals.
Definitely. I mean, it's so fascinating how they have so many of these items and only one character can use them, because, again, if they'd have found that Edge anywhere, that would have been great. But Edge is hidden in a place where no one will ever find him, so unfortunately not. I did notice her rump has Rex Banner and Tybalt have all picked up a Sand Ruby somewhere as well. I did not notice
it was
where,
one of the...
Really mattered. Yeah.
It was, I think, the Warlock and the Defossil. Another Crystal Sword. I think that's where they got it, I think. I could be wrong.
Oh, how are you feeling in this seed when you're starting to get to the bottom of the subterranean and you're still sitting on that rat tail and you have not found what you're looking for yet? Because this just gets spicier by the moment. This is not like a forward spicy, you take a bite of it and your mouth is immediately on fire. It's one of those sneaky spicy seeds where it's like you take a bite of it and then your mouth is on fire 20 minutes later and you're trying to figure out why.
And who knows, you may have jinxed this seed by saying that it was the rat. And oh, do we have a little bit of divergence? Oh, is he gonna check the rat tail? Ooh, Rex might be checking the rat tail.
And if this is Baron Key, then he is committed to it. But one thing I want to mention is, we mentioned the 10 people off stream. We just had our first place finisher tonight with a time of 1:26.31. Our winner tonight is Invenerable of this wonderful community race. So congratulations to him and GG's, as we do see Rex Banner now going to check this rat tail location.
Same with Tybalt too, going to check. Unless Tybalt's done all the chests. But yes, get some GG's in the chat for Inven. I don't know if there's still more chests, so we'll see what happens, because Rex has gotten the pink tail, so
I'm not sure this could get much tenser at the moment. Oh no,
you jinxed! Oh my god!
I need to stop talking right now. Anyone have a place I can stay for a few weeks?
Hey, I mean, I was trying to go for the giant, so I'm kind of grateful it didn't happen, and it kind of maybe moved on to you, because I live with one of the racers, so
Exactly.
At least you can hide. At least you can hide.
No one will ever find me. It's fine.
Yeah. You totally made it up with how many X-Scals and Crystal Swords are in the seed, right? Right?
I mean, do you need 7 X-Scals and Crystal Swords? And if this is it, then another runner who's figured it out would have probably been our second place finisher, as we just had Flurry14 finish off stream with a time of 1:28.12. So congratulations and GG's to him as well on a wonderful race, because honestly, I do not know how you get to this race done in under an hour and a half with how the seed is laid out.
Mm-hmm. Now, it looks like Harumph is actually fully checking the trap chest, but then again, Harumph, if I remember correctly, still has yet to get that pink tail and might be hunting that pink tail.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot more incentive to stay on this moon, because he does not know that pink tail is trapped behind the harp, and he might at some point in time figure out, okay, I need to go check this harp, because he might be a bit more interested in going there if he has that rat tail and he thinks, I want both of these tails before I turn these in.
You remember what you said about we get that first place finisher and then the finishes will start rolling in? We just got our third place finisher with Stone Dingley in third place with an hour and 29 minutes and 13 seconds. Just under an hour and 30.
Oh, and it's non-free water hag on the throne today.
I was about to say, wait, we've seen all Gauntlet. That would be really funny if it was. But no. Just hopefully our runners remember that there's no free bosses. But a nuke to Water Hag's face should take care of it. Yeah.
Well, I think this has to be it, because I think Harumph checked all those trap chests, didn't he?
I think so.
I am sorry to the runners. And also, you're welcome to the...
My best boy is here! It's an edge! Look, we can use those X-Scouts now! No,
Quick, take the edge.
Take him! Oh, come on, you can't be cheeky and take him? Just start all the X-Scouts at Zerompus.
I am so excited to see this, because I do believe we have seen all of those trap chests on the moon, and it was Rat Tail into Baron Key into Adamant Armor. Or Adamant Rock, rather, not Adamant Armor. My brain melted from sheer terror at having seen what's happened here. And someone whose brain didn't melt in sheer terror, by the way, would be our fourth place finisher tonight, Microcorgs, who just finished with a time of 1 hour 31:03.
This is amusing. This is rather. Oh, I think Harumph is now getting the news of there's a. He hasn't checked, and we're gonna get music right at the end. And yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, I was about to say, why are they going underground? They have to forge, Heart. Come on, they have to forge.
And hey, this is also going to be one last check too, because the Supersmith flag is on, meaning Coco will form a random weapon that was added in the Final Fantasy IV Advance re-release. So we're about to see what the special weapon is. And it appears to be the Caliburn.
Insult to injury.
This seed is a work of art.
Oh, I was about to say, what objective haven't they done? No, they haven't done the pass, but that's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone was just leaving that on the way here. And that does mean that we are getting close to the point in time we are going to see Rex Banner heading here up to Troya. And I think it's time to very quickly get through this because it's about to be time for music. But we have over 500 different sprites that we can replace his Aroma sprite with. Can't randomize his location. That wouldn't be fair. He's way too strong at any given point. So we are about to ask a question that we have to ask every single day. And Art, do you want to ask it real quick before we take another quick listen to music here?
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Rude. So now, just in time for Rex to fight Z. So yes, we get to see whose butt we're going to kick tonight, and many other questions. Is it a cute butt? Does it even have a butt? Will the butt fit on screen? Is it a scary butt? All will be answered in like 2 seconds.
I appreciate how that question has extended itself out to just being like existential. Like, is there even a butt out there, or is this just a text box that we then debate afterwards? And it is Metal Slime Miss. Gotta be careful because it might run away.
That is very true. I mean, technically it has a butt. Or is it all the butt?
Again, these are the existential questions that we've fallen into on this question at this point in time.
I mean, who knew fighting Zeromus would be so philosophical? Philosophical? I can't speak. English is hard.
It is, but I gotta think at this point in time where you have cleared roughly everything in the game, you have about 700 adamant armors and about 800 to 900 different crystal swords, all of which are just taped together into like a Christmas tree of crystal swords, that this fight is going to be pretty easy and pretty routine for all of our runners. I wouldn't be surprised if basically all of them skip the second Big Bang at this point in time. So these finishes are going to come in very tight and very quick.
And speaking of finishes, we did have another finish off screen. We had finish of, in 5th place was PK4787 at 1 hour and 34 minutes and 41 seconds. So get some GGs. And it's going to be a race between Rex and Tybalt on who's going to be the first one on Restream to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rex has a little bit of an advantage. He got into the fight a little bit sooner, and I think with the power levels, it's pretty much just might just end up being in the order there, but Zeromus is unpredictable. When you think you know what's going to go on, that's when things start going wrong. So now that I've said that, with my track record tonight, it'll be the other way around.
If something happens, you might want to hide. I'm sure there's a bunker made of cookies somewhere.
Going under my desk and never coming back out. But anyways, we do see Twisted Flax now is going to be our third runner to this. Harumph now just sort of finishing up. I believe that both Rex and Tybalt have got to be getting close at this point in time. I don't think... Oh, there it goes. So, in 6th place for the community race tonight, and our first finisher on stream, we do have Rex Banner with a time of 1:37:01. GG's to him on this wonderful and fascinating seed.
And it sounds like he has possibly joined us for an interview. GG's, Rex.
GG's, folks. How's it going?
Pretty good. So, what'd you think of that seed?
I enjoyed it. That was a fun seed, other than the searching through for trap chests, but good seed. Gave me an amazing little party, added enough adamant armors.
So, I just want to ask, what was going through your mind when you were checking, when you saw that rat tail drop out of that chest in Lunar Subterrane? Were you feeling, like, maybe I should go check it now, or were you still just 100% resolute that it's definitely the right decision to just keep grinding through these chests?
When I saw it, it's just, I wanted to go check it, but I didn't want to have to start over from the back, so I ran down just to put a safety save, and I could reset back and work my way from the bottom up then.
And it seemed like it paid off, too.
Yeah. Could have been a little quicker if I just exited out and decided to come back from the top, but it worked out, so I'm not going to complain too much.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, when you realized that it was on the move too, do you at any point in time think, maybe I should try and take these chests kind of out of order, or were you just always committed to that? Like, was there ever that question of, should I take a risk to go for it?
Not really. I like trying to just work my way down with it. To me, it's just easier that way. I don't miss one. I've done it before in the seeds where I've missed one chest and it turned out to be the chest I needed, and I spent a lot of time searching for it. So now I just try to catch everything on the way down.
So I have a question. So when you did finally go to Baron, and all those lovely crystal swords, X-Scals you were getting, how wonderful was it to finally get that edge and be like, yeah, you came into the seed too late. I'm not gonna let you dart anything.
Well, to be honest, I had made up my mind quite early that my team was set with where it was. Like, even once I sort of got my 5th character, it was a Tella for an anchor, I was happy with my team. Cecil and Kane, I have no issues with. With the no EXP from random encounters, you can't get too picky sometimes with your teams, because you can run into an experience issue if you try to switch one out too late. Mm-hmm. So, I fairly, with this style of seed, once I sort of get that right off the start, I am very content with it. It's sort of why my first few checks were just the character checks, trying to get as much EXP on them as quickly as I could off the start.
Alright, and were there any other thoughts that you had on this seed? Any words about it that you haven't been asked so far? Because that was definitely an experience to watch. I can't imagine how it was to play.
Why does Twin Harp always have to have an item? I'd love to fade it, but you can't. You always has to have a key item. That's my only complaint about these seeds, is it's such a long check. I just wish you could fade it and not worry about what's behind it all the time.
Alright, well, thank you for that. Hart, did you have any other questions? I'm out of questions on my end.
Nope, no more questions. Again, GG, and that was a very entertaining race. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, well, thank you, folks, for the commentary. Thank you, Restreamer Oscar. Not sure who was pressing buttons, but thank you for keeping them away from Possum and doing a great job. And thanks for everyone coming out to watch. You guys have a good evening.
All right, thank you, you too. And speaking of good evenings as well, we have had 2 more finishers, both on stream while we were waiting there. We had 7th place Tybalt with a 1:37:52, and 8th place Twisted Flax with a 1:40:30. Speaking of which, we are joined by Tybalt. GG's.
Yes, GG's.
Oh, I cleared every single trap chest in the game.
So tell me, how did you feel about getting that rat tail?
Actually, lost count on the trap chest on the moon. I'm like, next time I get to a save point, I'm going to save and I'm going to check it. And so I did, and it just led into everything else. And I'm like, so I lost to gambling on, finding one key item on the moon. But apparently I didn't, because looking at the spoilers, everybody cleared everything.
Yeah, and that was kind of like what ended up happening on stream too, is that, the other three took a little bit more traditional routes. You were taking a lot of gambles that just weren't necessarily paying off for you early, but then everyone left the moon to the end, so it all just collapsed back, and it ended up just sort of combining down into just a raw foot race to see who would get through there.
Yeah. So actually, about that early game, I got extremely lucky with it being Mylon Z at the element spot.
Yeah, that was an interesting play. I think you're the only person that actually took on the bosses in the giant. Everyone else just checked that chest and left, but I think by the time they checked it, they already found Demon.
For me, it was more of, I wanted to get, 200,000 experience on a base level Cecil, and then turn around and get another 150. That's like 450,000 on a base level Cecil when I've got Crystal Sword, Zeus, Power Shirt. Let him go to town.
Definitely. Was that just sort of the entire giant decision there? Were you also thinking, okay, I can get that trap chest, Demus is here, it'll work out? Was it really just mostly for the experience?
It was, I'm gonna check the last arm chest, because it's usually always had something, and if I can take the element spot out, let's do it. Let's get Power Cecil up. And once then, it was just pretty much base roll the rest of the seed. And then, of course, you had the trap chest in Cave of Blana, where it's the last available chest for both. And it was just, And I forgot no free bosses were on.
Yeah, kind of noticed that when you were in Dwarf.
It's like, you see that mysterious fourth wave come out, and you're like, uh-oh. So I was trying to keep it as a base level Tella for agility anchoring, and then you find 3 elements later and you really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing you can say about the seed, you had a lot of adamant armors and crystal swords and X-Cows.
Yeah.
That is true. And then
I just played the moves like X-Cal, X-Cal, X-Cal.
And then Edge decides to show up after everything, so it's not even worth taking him to Dart.
No. And then, of course, the forge item has to be the worst Cecil item possible. Calburn.
I mean, you already got so much good weaponry for Cecil. Who needs the Super Smith to be a good one?
I was more or less hoping for, Abel's Lance, something for Kane.
He has Defense Sword.
Anyways, Hart, did you have any more questions?
Nope.
Alright, and Tibble, any final thoughts on this seed?
No, but Oscar rolled a good one. That was interesting. I'm glad I remembered how many trap chests were in Sylph.
Alright, well, thank you for joining us and for letting us be restream you as well. It was a very fun to watch race.
It was.
Even if it sort of dissolved into worst case scenario dread by the end of it. So
Well, thanks for the restream. Thanks for commentating. We couldn't do this without you, and have a great rest of your night.
Alright, and real quick, we did have, of course, our final on-stream finisher, our 9th place finisher. Hey, every single one on the restream finished in order.
Yeah.
A rump for the time of 1:45:07, but we are joined by tonight's 8th place finisher, Twisted Flax. GG's.
GG's Twisted Flax.
Thank you very much.
So, let's start out by asking, what was going through your mind when you realized, oh, it's the lunar subterranean chests that are left?
I was hoping it wasn't, which is why I grabbed the last arm chest. I went through the hook route. I was hoping you wouldn't have had a situation where, like we had tonight, where you had the Baron Key and the Rat Tail outstanding, and you get one of those in one of the early chests, and you have to think to yourself, Do I keep pushing down the subterranean, open more chests, or do I leave now, only to find out that that's a bust? And it certainly was the case tonight, where the rat tail led you exactly where you needed to go.
It was a little.
Yeah, definitely. And so another thing that's sort of been a question I've been asking everyone is when you got that rat tail, were you tempted to go back and check it right away, or were you thinking, I just need to finish clearing the moon at this point?
I was pretty committed to at least getting to one of the safe spots in the subterranean. Because if it did turn out that the rat tail was a bust, I wanted to not have to you go through the cutscenes of going back to the moon or walking back down the subterranean. So I was pretty much committed to going to at least the Crystal Sword altar. I think I found 7 chests of the 9 on the subterranean by the time I got to that point, and I don't think I needed to take 4 or 5 of them. So it cost me time, definitely, but I think that's the right play.
Common play among everybody, but I mean, you got so many pretty crystal and Excal swords. I mean, nothing wrong with those, right?
I have never seen so many holy swords in one seed in my entire life. Can I keep a couple of those for next seed?
If only it worked like that.
Right.
That'll be the next thing to pop into feedback and ideas. Can we have persistent world free enterprise where you roll over your inventory? Where's our new game plus option here?
I open a chest. It's my 3rd crystal sword. Jeez, more garbage.
But yeah, that was actually about all the questions I had on it. Hart, did you have any other ones at this point?
Not really, to be honest. You did wonderfully. Thank you so much for being one of the ones on the restream. It was very entertaining to watch.
And thank you all for working behind the scenes and making sure this happens and can be brought to everyone. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to watching it back. And GG's to all the other racers. I think we all had pretty much very close finishes.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it was sort of like, you know, one person finished and everyone else just in a row right afterwards. Did you have any other thoughts on the seed at all that you wanted to share with us tonight?
No, this is the first time I've really seen these flags. I think they're going to be part of the new ladder season, if I'm not mistaken. They're a lot of fun. You think that, I can't grind anything, or I can't get sirens, I don't get experience from encounters. You think that's going to be a problem, but then you realize you're opening so many trapped chests and you're getting so much good loot that you're not at a loss for power by the end of the seed. So it should be a real fun one.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and allowing us to restream you tonight, and GG's for the night. And I believe we are about to have in our last interview, because again, we had everyone finish so quickly close together. We are about to have Harump join us. Real quick, I just want to mention that we did have a 10th place finisher during that interview, Frostbite 3030, with a time of 1:48.13. So GG's to them, and we are indeed joined by Harump. GG's.
It's Harump.
That was a comedy, to say the least.
You like all those crystal swords and Excals? Weren't those fun? And then the edge at the very end.
Yeah, it was at that point. It was like I already knew what my party was going to be here very early on. So like, I really don't care who I see, as long as maybe if I have my anchor and Sid, it's like I don't need to see anyone here. It could, unless it was another Cecil, and even then, I probably would have taken the Cecil here just to equip the caliber and have him swing with that at the final fight. But I suppose that would have been fun, amusing to say the least.
Yes, it would have.
Now, a question that I had was the Twin Harp fading. Now, I've heard that you just usually fade Twin Harp, that's usually part of your plan. Was that just what was going on there, or was it something where you were trying to take a risk on it not being there out of the ordinary for you?
Hashtag Team Never Harp. Didn't pay off this time. I'm going, listen, you go through the moon and then you realize, oh crap, I'm probably gonna have to go through the harp, aren't I? through Magnus Cave, and that it's a long check. The bulk of the checks are going to be there's a higher concentration of checks here on with the moon trap chest, so I went with that and didn't pay off completely. So that's the way it goes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a risk that just didn't pay off this one time. I feel like any other seed it might have, but this was a you couldn't have planned out a seed more interesting than this one was.
And Oscar's trolling me a little bit here on feeding the harp here, so perhaps I was undone by my own petard.
Absolutely. That was about it for questions for me. Hart, did you have any other questions?
Again, thank you for volunteering to be restreamed. It was very entertaining. You all were very entertaining tonight. It was amusing, kind of funny watching everyone get another X-Scal, another Crystal Sword, another X-Scal.
One point also, I'll make a public service announcement here before I thank the team. Remember to count your MP or make sure you have ethers before going into Dwarf Castle. And make sure that you don't run out of MP here when there's a warp glitch on. That was...
We were wondering about that, but I didn't want to ask in case it was something like you'd forgotten the warp glitch was on or something like that, and then I didn't want to make you feel bad by asking about that. But that actually explains a lot that you just didn't have the MP for it.
Oh, I'm very new here, and I realized I burned my ether on ordeals that I didn't buy anymore, actually I did buy them, I just ran out. So I was like, yeah, this is... Hopefully I don't get too punished. Unfortunately, it wasn't too punishing. But I'll keep that in mind for next time.
That's
Definitely.
true.
Right,
did you have any other thoughts to add, Harumph?
No, aside from, thank you to our commentary team tonight and Hard Gamer. Lemmy Harp, who I believe is their first time tracking, if I'm not mistaken, or if not the first time, then recent addition here. The first few, I guess, here. And Oscar, of course, for rolling that Troll of the Seed. Thanks.
Well, thank you again, and again, GG's, and thank you very much for joining us. And with that, I think we're going to be about ready to wrap up here. Hart, do you have any last thoughts for tonight?
Hide. If they watch that stream back, you might want to hide. But that was rather enjoyable, I will say. And again, as all our runners have said, a big thank you to everyone that volunteered to be restreamed: Haram, Frex Banner, Twisted Flax, and Tybalt. And of course, big thank you to the restream team, my wonderful commentator, and it was a pleasure doing commentary with you, Oscar, for rolling a very, very fun seed, and for the first time on tracking, if I'm correct, Lemia Harp, again, doing a great job keeping up with all those trap chests. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we're about to send the crew over to someone.
Yep, we're going to be sending you over to Lord Taco Official, and I'm going to be hopping the next train out of town. So with that, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
And no spoilers. Do not spoil.
Spoilers.
But yeah, let's give some big... Oh, and it's their first time playing Free Enterprise, so let's give a big, big, big cheer to them, okay? When we head over there. But again, no spoilers or you will get bonked.